Creative Magic Club. What's up? This is Sarah Mack and welcome to Creative Magic Club. Together, we'll discover inspirational stories of creative entrepreneurs living out their dreams, doing the work they are most passionate about, and building wealth in magical and fun ways. While building a six-figure income as a writer and coach, helping other women to launch their dream businesses, I've connected with so many incredible people and seen it proven again and again that you can thrive financially doing whatever it is you are passionate about. I'm here to share life-changing strategies for mindset, making money, and reaching more people with your work in a business and life filled with creativity, freedom, and fun. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode, and I'm super excited to introduce my guest today. Anastasia is a women's therapist and the creator of Rapid Abundance Activation Healing Methodology. Anastasia's desire is to help women heal their trauma and step into their limitless potential so they can be, do, and have all their soul desires. Anastasia is on a mission to change the lives of 1 million women, and through them, the lives of their children, clients, families, and communities in a ripple effect of expansion. Abundance is your birthright, but it's also a choice, and Anastasia shows women how to step into that choice. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to introduce you all of those of you who haven't come across Anastasia. We go way back. We actually we met when I was helping her with some copy on a previous business that she had as a designer. And then we did some money mindset work together, and now she's, qualified as a therapist and has been I've had the experience of working with her as well as a therapist, and she's incredible. And now she's just exploding and really, doing so much magical work, empowering women all over the world. So definitely check her out. And let's dive in to a really juicy conversation with her today. So let's kick it off by you sharing a little bit about your journey. Like, how did you end up coming to this work that you're doing now?
Thank you so much, Sarah. I guess it kind of started at my lowest point. As for some of us, that is the necessary journey that we need in order to make a change. And that was back in 2016. In 2016, I was running my fashion business, as you know, which is how you and I met. But I was just hustling. Everything was hustle, push. And I burnt out. I burnt out because it wasn't a sustainable model. It wasn't a sustainable business model. It wasn't a sustainable lifestyle. And when I burnt out, not only did I drop one of the balls that I was juggling, which was my business, but along with it came tumbling down all the other balls that I was juggling, which was my marriage and my health. And it actually started with my burnout. When I burnt out, I had a physical and mental burnout. Then my business collapsed because I couldn't physically work as hard as I was working before. And quickly, very, very quickly followed my marriage ending as well. So I felt like I'd failed on a very public and a very personal level. I'd failed at business, which was the one thing that I was so passionate about, that I was literally giving everything to build. I was sacrificing my social life to build this business. And I also felt like I failed at love, right? Because when your marriage fails, in inverted commas, it kind of validates that you're unlovable or have failed on some level at being a good wife or a good partner or whatever, right? And that was a very, very dark period of my life. And I still get emotional thinking about it because it was such a necessary breakdown, and things, always need to things need to fall apart in order for better things to fall together. Sometimes, unfortunately, for some people, that is absolutely true for me and my story. And I guess the first thing that I started to want to rebuild was my business, because financially I was broke. Can I swear?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
I was broke as fuck. was broke, I was depressed, and I felt like it was the only thing that was kind of like in my control to rebuild. And you were essentially the first coach that I kind of hired in the money mindset department, because I felt like, okay, well, I've got all these money blocks and I've got all these money beliefs. So I first need to get this out the way so that I can build a business that is, number one, more profitable, and number two, a business that fits my lifestyle desire versus my whole life revolving around my business, which is the model that I was using before. And slowly I started to give myself permission, and really that was all, down to my work with you when we were talking about mindset. And so much of what you were teaching me was that it's not about the money, it's about the mind, right? It's about your relationship with that thing or anything else. And that was really kind of like the beginning of, okay, so the way that I see and the way that I respond to everything seems to be dysfunctional, which is why I'm getting these dysfunctional results to this formula called life. And it started, as I said, with trying to rebuild my business, but eventually thankfully, that led to me doing more deep diving into my personal development, my perceptions, my mindset, my beliefs, everything, right? Because everything is a relationship. So, what is my relationship to business? What is my relationship to money? What is my relationship to other people? And the most important thing is, what is my relationship to myself? Because that is what is reflecting in all these other relationships. And that kind of led me down this wormhole to eventually becoming trained as a therapist, because I became so fascinated and actually kind of obsessed with healing myself and then sharing with everybody else that, oh my God, this formula is available to everyone. So that was, I guess, what led me to what I'm doing now.
Oh, my heart just explodes knowing that I was a part of your journey and seeing, how amazing all of the work is that you're doing now, and the impact that you're having. So let's talk a little bit about like what's on your heart at the moment. What are you really passionate about sharing with your audience?
Let me start by saying that you were a fundamental part to my personal development. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you.
What's on my heart? Mm. I guess the thing that I'm talking about the most these days is something that I feel like not enough healers and teachers and coaches and therapists are really talking about, because everyone is so focused on, the goal, the desire to be better, to have more, A, B, C, D, E, right? The transformation, that they are missing a crucial fundamental part of that journey, and that is the subconscious mind. Like that is something that I am so passionate, and that's what fascinated me in doing this work and then becoming a certified hypnotherapist as well, was, what does the subconscious mind do when I'm not looking? Because it's always doing something in the background, and that is absolutely impacting my conscious actions, my conscious efforts. And if there's a disconnect between my conscious desires to grow and expand and be amazing and have more of everything, but I have an unconscious desire to struggle, an unconscious desire to um, to hurt myself, because on some weird, freaky level, we're all kind of sadists and masochists. We have a pattern of hurting others and hurting ourselves because it validates some sicko belief that I'm not enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not smart enough. So that is the big chunk of the iceberg, when you look at the pictures of like how 90% of it is beneath the surface of the water and only 10% of it is above the surface of the water.
Yeah, I think it's really important to talk about that. And when you talk about it in that way, where it's like the conscious is 10%, and that is literally what we're all obsessed with,
Mm-hmm.
and then the 90% is the stuff that we like to try and ignore. Because let's be honest, like it's challenging to go there. And, I can really speak to that in the work that I've done with you as a hypnotherapist. I've worked, for many years as a hypnotherapist. And I think it's one of the most powerful tools, because it's when you untangle those unconscious stories and those unconscious like motivations that things just seemingly magically start to shift in your life. And it's that 90%. And one thing another hypnotherapist I've worked with always says, which I love, is she once worked with a Navy SEAL, which is like, the most like hardcore profession ever, where you're like pushing your body through its physical limits, like beyond what you think your mind thinks you're capable of. And he was like, that is nothing compared to going to hypnotherapy. Like the courage that's required to go to those deep, dark places. Like there's a reason why we don't look at our pain, because it's painful. We're trying to avoid that. And we're trying to, pretend that we're all perfect, pretend that everything's easy. And on the surface, we have our shit together, when, underneath we're just human beings. And it's really normal to experience pain, particularly in our personal relationships. It's normal to experience conflict with ourselves as we're, evolving as new generations, doing new things that our ancestors never knew, had the opportunity to do, or had created the capacity to be able to do. So I love that we're having this conversation. And what is it? Tell us a little bit more about, because I know you don't just do hypnotherapy, you combine it with like rewiring as well to help people. How would you describe it? It's kind of like aligning all of like the unconscious parts of yourself with your conscious desires, right?
Yeah. So I kind of like to call it healing and expansion simultaneously, because I can't heal without expanding, and I can't expand without healing. And many people will get stuck in one of those two categories. If they're on their healing journey, they kind of become addicted to their healing. So almost like addicted to scratching the scab, right? Hurting, and going over that pain over and over and over. So it's like a weird like cycle of PTSD, essentially, when we become overly obsessed with just my healing journey. And then there's the other school that is just obsessed with growth, and just obsessed with habits, and just obsessed with mindset and behaviors that's going to get me to that next level. So only obsessed with the expansion. And the wonderful world that we live in means that there is always duality. There is always going to be pain. There's always going to be pleasure. There's always going to be light. There's always going to be dark. And when I can combine those two blocks, my healing and my expansion, I can literally elevate myself to another level that wasn't previously available to me. Why? Because I keep hitting this glass ceiling. And it's very commonly spoken about when we talk about finances, right? I've hit this glass ceiling and I can't get to the other side of it. Why? Because there's an unconscious desire there that validates a belief. And obviously, if you knew what that block was, you'd fucking move it out the way, right? You wouldn't keep hitting the wall. But for you to keep hitting that wall means that there's something that you haven't seen there, haven't released, haven't reprogrammed. And we can't see our own blind spots. Like, this is where you absolutely need to give yourself permission to be supported, to receive help, right? No man is an island. And this was my biggest lesson in my kind of growth journey, was that I need help because I don't have all the answers. And guess what? You're not meant to have all the answers. Who taught you how to eat? Who taught you how to speak? Who taught you how to walk? Someone was there supporting you, providing for you until you were able to take care of yourself. And that's a lifelong journey. We never stop growing. Therefore, we need to keep receiving support and love and nurturing and teachings.
This is such an important message, and it's so true, because it's incredible how, and I was the same. I like really hit rock bottom, had a big burnout, got to a point where I was like, I'm screwed and I don't know what to do. I need help. Like, it was very clear that I needed help, and I started asking for help in every single place I could find it, until I created the solutions that I needed to, get better. And then I started applying that same mentality to my finances. But so many women, when they come to work with me and like start working with a coach, one of the top thoughts that comes up is like, I feel like a failure for not having been able to do this by myself. And it's like anything that's big, anything that's like something that's maybe never been done before in your family, or, is stepping into new levels of freedom, new levels of abundance, new levels of, personal creative expression, particularly for women. Like it's revolutionary work, right? And of course it requires help. Of course it requires support. Of course it requires a village of people around you. And it's just the fastest way to stay stuck is trying to do things alone.
Yes.
And I was going to say something else, but I've spaced. Oh yeah, that was it. It's like, if you want to do something, I just figured out this like very simple formula for life. Is like, if you want to create a result, find a teacher who's done it and learn from them. And I'm like, oh, whenever I find myself stuck around something, I'm like, oh, well, I just didn't find a good teacher yet. It's like, it's really that simple.
Exactly. And again, like something that I talk about a lot in my work with my clients is the quality of your solutions is only ever equal to the quality of your questions. So if you're asking disempowering questions like, why does this keep happening to me? Why can't I figure it out? Why? You're not going to come up with a good solution, right? You're just going to keep validating this unconscious desire that I'm not good enough, that I'm not smart enough, that I'm not whatever enough. And if the question, how do I fix this? How do I do this? How? If I'm not able to come up with a solution, because if I had the answer, it would have been revealed to me, then the next question is who? Who can I get to help me with this puzzle piece? Who can I get me to help me with this next level devil, right? Because every level reveals a new devil.
I love that we're having this conversation because yesterday I literally started listening to the audiobook. It's called something like Not How, But Who. It's exactly that. It's like, just it's all about finding the right person that can help you create that solution, or will like add to your, complement whatever it is you're bringing to the table to bring your vision to life. And that's really the fun in having a vision, right? Is to be able to collaborate with people. And I was definitely stuck in that for a really long time, trying to do things all by myself. And it just doesn't work. Like, it's really miserable. It's really stressful. It doesn't work. As soon as you start collaborating and bringing other people into your vision, it flows. It's easy. It's fun. And that's what life is about, right? And
well, it's that old saying, isn't it? Like, joy shared is joy doubled. Trouble shared is trouble halved. So
yeah. And I was talking about this on a video yesterday about how whenever I ask an even more powerful question and challenge myself to do that, I instantly I'm attracted to the resources that will now enable me to create that solution. It's happened over and over again, and I start to see those patterns of when I I pick a specific goal or a specific result, particularly with money goals. Like, it happened when I was like, I want to make 20K months. Then I was attracted to somebody who was doing it that I really resonated with, and they helped me to do it. And then recently, because I was talking to my clients about this too, I was like, there's a Harvard study where they studied graduates, and it was about the power of writing down your goals. And they said the people who wrote down their goals from that particular year of graduation were worth like 10 times more than everybody else put together within a very short period of time after graduation. And I was like, that's really true. Like, everything I've intentionally created, I've written down, and I write down my goals like pretty much every day. And I was like, why don't I like push the boundaries and start getting really wild? And I was like, what if I wanted to make like $5 million a year in my business? And I wrote it down. I was like, okay, that's my new goal. And then within a matter of weeks, I pick up the book by Amanda Frances, and she's talking about how she's built her $5 million a year business. And I was like, oh, like there's a reason I picked up this book,
Exactly. It's like a game, right? If you keep playing the worst case scenario game, then that's what you're going to keep seeing. That's what you're going to keep finding. If you play the best case scenario game, then that's what you're going to keep attracting and finding.
Totally. So tell us a little bit about some of the top like unconscious, things that hold people back in the work that you do, that you see coming up again and again.
Absolutely. So there is pattern. Everyone has a pattern, and when you can identify this pattern that you keep playing out, which is linked to an identity or a story that you've created, or a program that's being given to you. So our beliefs essentially about ourselves and about the world have been created from the age of 0 to 5 in the formative years, when we were just little sponges watching our parents and watching the people around us and learning. And then you spent the rest of your life collecting evidence that supports that belief. Right. So these are beliefs that have been decades in the making. It's not something that, oh, okay, yes, I have this belief that I'm not good enough. Now that I know it, I can believe that I'm good enough, right? No, it requires reprogramming. It requires upgrading, if you will, because it's like trying to install a new program. And this is why affirmations have like a short-term effect and not a lasting transformative effect. It's like trying to install a new program on an old operating system. At some point, the programs aren't going to work optimally. They're not going to work the way that they should be working or the way that you want them to work, because the operating system can't support the new programs. So in the subconscious work that we do, we go back in there and we upgrade the operating system, right? We need to upgrade the foundation in order to then start installing these new programs that we want to run our life with. And a pattern of self-sabotage, a pattern of procrastination, a pattern of not asking for what I want is essentially, it all comes down to self-abandonment. And when I keep abandoning myself over and over and over again, then that's what the world starts to reflect back to me, that I keep getting rejected, that I keep failing, that I keep A, B, C, D, E, right? And that validates the belief that I'm not good enough, the belief that I'm a failure, that I'm not capable. And we all have these beliefs, and we all have different variations of these patterns that we keep reliving. Some people are just kind of like better at functioning with that program, and then other people are not so great at functioning. So these are the people that tend to suffer. These are the people that tend to have bad relationships with themselves, with each other, with money, with their business, with clients, with everyone, right? Where we don't have boundaries. And oh gosh, the importance of reprogramming on a subconscious level. It doesn't matter what you're doing on a conscious level. It doesn't matter if you're saying all the affirmations. It doesn't matter if you're doing the vision boards. It doesn't matter if you are ticking all these boxes to how to create a better life. If the subconscious desire is to struggle, to stay small, to procrastinate and self-abandon, then that's going to be the end result, or everything is just going to feel like an uphill struggle. And life is about, or abundance is about, flowing downstream. And in order to do that, we need to work with the subconscious, not against it, because it's like a partnership that can either be your greatest partner or your greatest saboteur.
I love that. And yeah, I've really found that like the mindset work led me well, I definitely had started working with doing like hypnotherapy before I encountered mindset work. But I think it's really that listening to yourself and being willing to do that work and identifying when practitioners like you and tools and processes that allow you to do that deeper work to kind of connect with the unconscious patterns that are going on, to shift those when they pop up for you. Then it's like, oh, it's like the affirmations kind of lead you there. It's like the affirmations are the GPS. And then they'll be like, okay, we're trying to get over here, but there's a big roadblock. So like, we need to stop and like call help to like get us around this roadblock. And then, they'll allow us to move through it and onto that new belief. But it's like you say, you have to be doing the expansion work as well as the healing work at the same time. And I've definitely been there where I've got a little bit fanatical about doing my healing work when I was in that period of chronic fatigue and I was really sick. And like you can get stuck there. So it's so important. And that's why I love, the combination of healing with coaching, I think is so powerful, because coaching really keeps you targeted and focused on where you want to be going, and taking the action to get there. Because when you start taking the action, then it's like the subconscious mind, I find, will like, it's that dissonance is felt when you get those big periods of resistance, or you start to feel really uncomfortable, or that pattern rears up and you start to self-sabotage, or like you create a drama, or you pick a fight, or you get sick. And that's your unconscious being like, like this is not compatible. And that's where you get to do the work and go deeper and shift the thing that's like coming up for your attention, so that you can move past it, right?
Exactly. And it's exactly what you said, everything is feedback. So when I'm being triggered, that is feedback. When I'm getting sick, that is feedback. If I'm failing to read the feedback, if I'm failing to read the data, then I can't upgrade the input in order to get the output that I want, right? So I'm talking like very computer speak now. But it's very important to balance the masculine, feminine, right? And coaching, I feel like, is quite the masculine. It's very solutions orientated and focusing on setting up the systems that help you and support you to achieve those goals and desires. And then the feminine is the healing, the nurturing, the self-care, the self-love, the boundaries, knowing and recognizing what am I creating for myself, right? What am I generating? So when we talk about law of attraction, which I love, law of attraction, I feel like kind of has been misinterpreted, if you will, because we're always talking about what am I attracting, when my belief is what am I generating, right? Accept the axiom that everything that I have, and an axiom is truth without evidence, everything that I have and don't have in my life, I've generated. Why? Because there's been a desire for it, whether conscious or unconscious. I generated this life. So that includes the scarcity, that includes the lack, that includes the pain. I generated this because there's an unconscious desire. And I'm not able to identify my unconscious desire until I go into the subconscious, until I go into that healing.
That was a really clear way of describing it. Thank you. I love this conversation. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. But I'm going to wrap it up here. And anyone who's interested in learning more about this should definitely go and check out Anastasia's work. Tell us what you're up to and where people can find you.
Amazing. I am actually presently offering a 5-day rapid abundance activation program. So this is a free kind of gift for people to learn more about what I'm doing, and also to experience what a rapid abundance activation session looks and feels like, because you simply can't put into words the phenomenal breakthrough that you will have until you've experienced it. So I would love for anyone that this resonates with, anyone that wants to do healing and expanding simultaneously, to join me in my 5-day rapid abundance activation program.
And what's your website and your social handles?
So I believe that you're going to drop them in the description, just because my surname is a little bit tricky. It's Anastasia Girali, G with a George. So you will find me at Anastasia Girali. My website is anastasiagirali.com. And I believe that the short link to my 5-day program is bit.ly/5-day rapid abundance, I think.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming and sharing all of your wisdom with us. And thank you everybody for watching. Bye. For more inspirational content, head over to my website withsarahmac.com, and please support the show by liking, commenting, and subscribing.